Buddy, thanks for coming out. I call to order the Bethany City Council meeting for November 21st, 2017. Would you please rise for tonight's prayer and flag salute? Tonight's prayer will be led by Council Member Moore.
Let's pray. Dear Jesus, please bless everyone and forgive everyone for all their sins. Dear Jesus, please bless the city of Bethany, the citizens, the workers, and allow us to make decisions that are to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Tonight we have with us students from PC West, the Youth and Government group. And if you pardon me, I'm going to read from my phone, my notes. These students are involved in youth and government, in which students have the opportunity to learn and participate in a peer-led model of government. Participants get to learn about government hands-on, and it provides them the opportunity to learn what it takes to become the future leaders of this country. Students have options to write their own bill and present it following parliamentary procedure, participate in a mock trial, take the role of a lobbyist and argue for or against bills, and they document the whole event by making videos, conducting interviews, and much more. And students and instructor or coordinator Jennifer Owens-Hill is here as well. Students, take it away for the flag salute. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. You guys ready? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's exciting to know that we have students who are interested in leading the country. Item 1 tonight is the consent docket, items A through E. Do I have a motion or discussion?
Let me get my microphone here. Let me scroll down on my notes here if I could. I noticed some moving expenses for Phil Stowell. I don't understand why that's there and why are we compensating him for moving expenses. Was that part of, I looked at the receipts. It's not mileage per se, it's a van and some other items. Is there an explanation for that?
Yes, certainly. That was part of the package that was put together at the time that he was brought on board. They were just a little bit late being turned in.
Okay, because he moved in August, but then they turned in the expenses in November, is
That's
that right?
Yes.
Okay. So do we know what the deal was with his employment? Do we have a copy of his offer and acceptance, or is that something we're privy to, or can we find out about?
The amount of compensation any public official makes is a public record.
Well,
And
I
then
didn't-
this moving expense was just the only other thing in addition to that.
So there's nothing else other than the salary? Is he a non-exempt employee?
Correct.
So
There
he's
would
just-
be retirement and insurance, I'm sure,
Okay.
in addition to the salary.
Okay, well, that was news to me, which isn't the first time. So that's an issue that I had. Kind of concerns me a little bit, but I think that information's sufficient. Let me scroll down and see if there's any other issue related to the consent docket. Well, and there's one issue about the ImageNet Consulting.
item for $6,925. That's not related to the website, that's related to the hardware for our system, is that correct?
Steve, do you know that off the top of your head?
Actually, that's the purchase and implementation of the 365, the Microsoft 365.
Okay. Well, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have related to the consent that I saw. That I just wanted some clarification. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Is there any more discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I second.
Please cast your votes. Item 2 is presentation by the Northwest Chamber. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you for having us. I'm Priscilla Cude, and I am president of First Bethany Bank, and I'm also the vice chairman for the Northwest Chamber. And Lawrence?
Thanks. I'm Lawrence Ross. I am the owner of IT Oklahoma and LM Ross Inc. Businesses on 36th and Rockwell here in Bethany. And we also, I'm the board secretary for the chamber. We also have Jill McCartney with us tonight. She's the president and CEO of the Northwest Oklahoma City Chamber.
And so we are here tonight because in June, the chamber entered into an agreement with the city regarding specific business and cultural development projects for the city of Bethany, and we're here to give you an update on those projects. We have provided each of you with a full list of the things that we've been working on and assisting the city with, and we're to help improve Bethany's city environment, business environment, and the quality of life.
For the purposes of the presentation, we'll not read each bullet point, but we'll list major points and ask that the entire document be entered into the record. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. McCartney to present those highlights.
Sure. Amongst the top of the lists of the projects that you asked us to work on was enhancing tourism. And we really are taking that effort seriously, realizing that there is really no other aspect of the city that's getting done. We need to be the lead dog in that effort. And so in that regard, we arranged a one-on-one meeting with the State Department of Tourism, and rather than having them come to our office, we had them meet us up at Javid 39 so they could experience the atmosphere. And while they were there, they happened to learn about the Ukulele Fest, which was kind of intentional on our part. And so with that, they called not long after, and we provided them with the information, and they came and filmed a Discover Oklahoma segment. And that is the type of exposure and relationship building that we are doing to create long-term relationships. Just today, I also received the most recent issue of Oklahoma Today, which is the state tourism magazine, and in it, our representative with tourism sent, this is a full-page story and picture that is talking about a program that the Bethany Library has called Apple Pie Time, where kids learn to use math skills as they're learning about baking and such. But it's great publicity getting our Bethany name out there, working with our libraries and things like that. And along that stud, we have also been working with a Bethany marketing company called My Heart Appeal. And they are located over on 39th. And anyhow, we're in the process of a full-scale logo and branding design. So we knew that we wanted to be in this year's tourism guide that comes out in January, but we were not going to have the logo and branding design completed by then. So we did something that is a little bit generic, but that gets our name out there. And we can follow up later and do our full scale. But some of what's highlighted here are unique eats, eclectic antiques, and sweet boutiques. And I will also give recognition that the photos provided for this were done by Mr. Ross, who is quite the avid photographer in our community. Along with this, they're taking this same concept, and we are currently in development on a rack card, which is something that will go in different tourist locations around the state to promote Bethany, and it'll have this same kind of look for this year. We are also in development on a very simple tourism website that will have this same kind of look, and we have reserved the Visit Bethany OK domain, and also the Visit Bethany OK Facebook page, and are in development on the content that's going to go through that. All content will also be signed off on and approved by the city before it is published as well, but we're just in the development stages on all of that. So that is a lot of what we've been working on in the tourism realm. Have been working on consistently developing those strategic partnerships and strategic relationships by working with State Department of Tourism. There is a Metro Area District Leaders Roundtable, the Greater Oklahoma City Partnership for Economic Development. I have been actively attending these meetings and representing Bethany as I'm there in telling them the good news about the projects that we've got going on and the good things that are happening, and also finding out about programs and projects and research and resources that we can bring back and plug in for the things that we're doing here. Also arranging a visit of U.S. Senator James Lankford to come here to Bethany, and all of you as council were invited, as well as many of the stakeholders, our new superintendent, the new president of the university, and really to bring that as a good opportunity for us to build relationships with Senator Lankford amongst the new leadership here, and to open the door as we're needing help in the future for different projects, needing to apply for grants and different things like that, that relationship is strong and well established. Have worked with the Downtown Bethany merchants on projects as they request. They will have me print flyers for different things, or arrange different things, or get in contact with different people. Whatever they ask, I try to get it done. And we do have to work, within schedules. This is a lot to get done in addition to the other projects that we're working on too, and always trying to get everything done for Bethany that we can. Have also been working on soliciting Bethany businesses to participate in a special savings program for families that have kids at the Children's Center. Working actively on the 23rd Street Business District, and that has been working with many of the other city leaders, and also under the great leadership with Mark Long on really putting the Bethany 23rd Street District front and center. And so, as you can see on that, making more than 60 face-to-face visits with the different businesses and getting them to turn out, building the Facebook page, building the email database, and sending those emails out to create that communication, and many other things that are listed on here. We featured the Children's Center on the cover of the Chamber's 2017 Community Guide and Directory with their new building as well. Future plans. Our Chamber Board of Directors met on Friday, and one of the things that they put front and center is to hold a Bethany Restaurant Week, February 19th through 25th, to really promote all of the outstanding independent, locally owned business restaurants that are here in Bethany. As we look at the city areas and the districts that become popular, it is really always restaurants that drive that traffic. And so we want Bethany to be known as more of a dining destination. And we have got the diversity and the quality of restaurants that we really can take a stand there and make that a known quantity. And we really believe that this restaurant week can do that well. Another project that we are wanting to work on is developing a program attracting and organizing active senior volunteers in the Bethany area to work on community projects. This is an idea that City Manager Cox brought to my attention, and I knew that one of our board members, Marla Cole, is very active with RSVP, and so she is going to assist us in bringing that together and making sure that Bethany has a cell specifically focused on that. I am going to leave it at that. Happy to answer any questions you all might have, and I'm also, Councilman Palmer, I am excited for us to set up that meeting we've been talking about. Any questions? Thank you.
Jill, you had talked at one time about doing some sort of a walking tour
Oh, yeah.
of the murals. Is that still in the works?
Yes, actually, that is on the list. Let's see, is it in the, I think it's in the tourism section. Yes, sourced outline stage of the digital tour and online app. I found the guy, I've got the pricing, and the timelines and what it is that he needs from us, so I'm gathering up the stuff to send to him right now to get that in development, yes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3 tonight is a presentation by Cedar Ridge Bethany, and that is not going to happen, from what I understand, due to the state budget. Is that correct?
It's not going to happen right away. anyway.
Okay.
I don't know that it's not going to happen at all. but-
Okay. Item 4 is let's get connected, and I'd like to table this until we have some more information. I think there's some more planning that needs to go into this for our various phases and what our strategy is.
Do we need a motion or can you table that?
Yes, need a motion to table items 4A and B.
Second.
Do we have to specify dates certain?
Originally, this was scheduled for public hearing, was advertised, and it's been continued to a specific date every time since then. I think that'd be appropriate, and then if you don't make that deadline, we'll put it back on the agenda, and it could be tabled again, so. That would preserve the publication notice that we gave.
December 19th sound all right?
Well, Mr.
It's
Mayor,
gonna be the busy night, JD.
Mr.
Yeah, that's a hearing on the TIF district. I'd recommend maybe you move it. Yeah, because
January.
that December 19th is gonna be a full meeting, I'm afraid.
Yeah, move it to January.
So we meet on the 2nd and the 16th is the one after, maybe the 16th might be better.
January 16th?
Does that sound okay?
Yes.
The 2nd's gonna be
So, we have a motion and a second to table until January 16th. No, I think we already have it, don't we?
Let's call
Okay.
for a vote.
Please cast your votes. Item 5 is adoption of resolution number 1489, approving an extension agreement for the expiring contract permit with Cox Communication for cable services. Do I have a motion or discussion? I believe this is because our representative is going on maternity leave.
That is correct,
Okay.
and she'll be out through the end of the holidays.
Are they here tonight?
No, they are not.
No.
Before we do an extension, I mean, we were supposed to, for several years, had access to that right there very easily. And I mean, nobody here really knew how to do, including myself, I mean, to do that, and they promised every time that we would be able to, put different rotating things up there easily, and we never got it. I'd like to discuss it with them before we just give them another, how long is the extension?
That's what's going to happen in this 6-month period. We're going to negotiate with them. The mayor's indicated he wants to be involved in that.
Absolutely.
I think there's several public access issues that need to be negotiated with them, so I think you'll see some of that. We actually don't. A franchise actually requires a vote of the people. About 10 years ago, the Oklahoma legislature said that it would be okay for cable TV companies to, instead of getting a franchise, to have a permit with the city. And that's what Cox Cable chose to do rather than going for a permit. Now, they do pay the same fee that they did under the old franchise, so the revenue's the same. It's just that they don't have to have a vote of the people every 25 years.
So we will be negotiating.
Same way with AT&T and UVerse, they have the same sort of arrangement.
So Councilmember Moore, we will be negotiating in 6 months for hopefully some upgrades to what we're doing. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Please cast your votes. Item 6, and for the record, I will be abstaining from this vote, is approval of resolution number 1490, authorizing agreement for professional video services with Barry J. Yarbrough Photography for various video services and video upgrade services for the city facilities. Do you have a motion or discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I know Barry Yarborough, and I had the experience. He filmed a video for me in my campaign, just as a matter of disclosure. But having known Barry and getting to know him, I was impressed with the ability that he has to produce and create videos in order to convey the message to the residents of Bethany. And if you've seen the mayor's videos related to one-ways or their recent interviews with the city council or any particular issue that's come up, those have been filmed and produced by Barry, and they're very effective. And I've gotten feedback from the public about the quality of those videos and the information that's provided in the videos. Not only in the area of Bethany, but I mean, if you're on Facebook, I've shared those on various Facebook pages that I have, and the access that other people have to that information is pretty apparent. They're very informative, and they provide a voice and a vision and a message for the city of Bethany. And not only do the residents love them, but outside of Bethany, it sends a great message for our community. And my concern is, I would like, and I'm going to vote for this to approve hiring Barry because of the brand that we need to convey to the outside community. It's a video, and the quality of the video and the message that's provided needs to be consistent, and it needs to be produced in a manner that's very professional, because basically we're advertising with these videos on behalf of the city. And that's something that is important to me. I think it's important to where we want to go, and it allows us an opportunity to do that. You know, Barry's got a lot of experience. From what I understand, he's produced videos for SNU from 1995 to 2004. He's had video clips that have been shown on ESPN, Fox Sports, all of the local channels. So he knows what to do. He knows how to operate the equipment. He knows how to produce and promote that video. Plus, I think as a part of his services, he will upgrade the city council setup, and I'm excited about that, to the extent that we could do Facebook Live. We could provide that service to the community. Maybe, I don't have Cox, I have DirecTV, and if we have an opportunity to do that through Barry with his expertise to set that up, I think it would be very beneficial to the not only to the city council but to the community. And I also think that for the amount that he's charging us, if we were to do that with any other production company, I think it would be more money. So I know that's a concern, and I think that for what we have and what we can get with Barry, I think this would be a good value. It would be a good thing for the city. So with that, I would
I'd like to say something if I could.
go ahead.
I don't know Barry. I've spoken 2 or 3 words with him probably, and that's it. He did my filming, but I was, the mayor interviewed all of us, and I was on the phone, probably talking to lawyers like him, right until I walked in there, but I watched him, what he did, and I know of his reputation, which is a very good reputation. He's a man of God. He's from Bethany. He knows Bethany. You know, he played sports in Bethany, so you can't hold that against him, that they know each other. Eventually, we're all going to come across those of us in Bethany that we grew up with, or we've done something with. But what he does, and I always bring it back to 60 Minutes for some reason, but he shoots from 2 cameras angles where it's professional. It's a very professional deal, and I do know that I've checked him out a little bit. He's done work for ESPN and for SNU Cox. He's done a lot of work for a lot of people, and this is a bargain. If we hired somebody to do this, it would cost us a fortune. But there's 2 ways to measure something, and there's nothing wrong with either one of them. Some things are measured in the effort you're putting out, and some things are measured in the results you're getting. And I always look at the results. I'm getting phone calls, and several of us have, from developers that I grew up with that most of y'all know, and they're overjoyed with the way that those are being presented. One voice coming out of Bethany, and their questions answered, the public being kept up to date through video. And I'm not the biggest fan of Facebook, but I have to use Facebook for my business now. It is a fact of life that's how things get done, is Facebook just about. But the way he has kept things up with this updating thing, I think KP kind of fell into maybe it's a grand design of yours, I don't know. But just updating the public has created, it's helping our 29th, our 39th Street efforts, and it's created more buzz where we had 1 or 2 developers and contractors talking about us. Now we've got 4 or 5, and I know Mr. Showery knows all of them. And they love the updates. You know, it's one of those kind of deals where if they don't see one, they're like, well, we thought this was coming, where's it at? They're chomping at the bit for them now. And, but it's the best way to communicate with the public like that. Keeps them informed, it's transparent. You know, I'm all for it. It's a good thing.
I have a couple of questions, and then I would like to second the motion, but I need my questions answered first. Will this be a contract? It's professional services. Does it need to go out for bid?
2 questions, right? First question is, yes, that resolution directs the city manager and I to prepare a contract for his services. And under your purchasing ordinance, there is an exception for a professional services, just like hiring a lawyer or a doctor. You probably don't take the lowest bid, and that's how this would be done.
Okay, then I second the motion.
If I might ask a question, do we not have something other in-house that we can do this with?
Mr. Shiru, we do,
We do.
but it's not getting done.
It's not good enough.
Yeah, I can say also, just to add to that, I know that Barry, as was mentioned, Barry is going to help us upgrade that equipment. We don't have the equipment that can do the quality level, so absolutely that's, if he can help us identify and secure that type of thing, that would be really of value.
We have a motion and a second. You ready to vote? Please cast your votes. Item 7 is approval of notice to city clerk regarding schedule of regular meetings of the City Council, Bethany Public Works Authority, Bethany Hospital Trust, Bethany Development Authority, Board of Adjustment, Planning and Zoning Commission, and Bethany Economic Development Authority. Do I have a motion or discussion?
I just mentioned the open meeting law requires that right after the 1st of December, all of these entities must notify the city clerk of their regularly scheduled meetings for the next calendar year, and that's the purpose of this item. And in your agenda is a list of all the various meetings.
David, would you also mind addressing, you were sharing why this item comes before number 8?
Well, because when I discussed this item with Linda, we could not predict what action the council might take on item 8. And if no action is taken on item 8, you still have to have item 7. So if item 8 results in a change, we'll have to bring back a new schedule for you later. But this will put you in compliance until you decide whether you want to change it or not. That's the gist of it. Kind of a chicken and an egg deal, I suppose.
I move approval of the schedule as presented.
Please cast your votes. Item 8, discussion regarding date and time of regular meetings of the Bethany City Council and approval of possible amendment to schedule of regular meetings. Do I have a motion or discussion? Anybody like to talk
So moved.
times? We want to change it to 7 a.m.?
So moved.
Keeping it the same?
I would like to change it to 7 o'clock, but I know you working people like it later, so I'll acquiesce.
Everybody good with keeping it at 7:30?
Yes, because if we started at 7 o'clock, we'll still be here till 9:30 or 10 o'clock every night. And if we started at 8:30, we could be out by here by in an hour.
So you want to keep it at 7:30 or move it to 8:30?
Certainly give some of us more time to get to meeting.
And Mr. Mayor, if we're having pre-meetings at 6:30, 7:30 would be a good time.
So I have a second.
I would second.
Please cast your votes for 7:30.
So that's the answer to why the other item was on there first.
Item 9, consideration and possible action on settlement terms proposed by Wade and Sonia Clymer?
I believe it's
Cleaver?
Cleaver.
Cleaver?
I'm not
Cleaver?
sure. Cleaver, I believe.
Okay. Concerning case styled Cleaver versus the City of Bethany, Oklahoma, county case CV-2017-1314 pertaining to alley encroachments near 46th Street and Peniel.
Mayor, rather than read the rest of it, I have this listed on the item as an executive session, which you are authorized to go into and discuss this outside the public meeting. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you do decide to go into executive session, you will required to vote for that. I also ask the attorney who's here on the back row, Mr. Reed, is here, and his clients are here with him, and I believe they live on Donald. I don't remember the exact address. Or Peniel, I'm sorry, 4604 maybe, something like that. And I think they'd like to be heard by the council. I think we could do that a couple of ways. One, you could hear them here in the open meeting if you choose, or you could go into executive session, then they could be invited into executive session to make their presentation. In your agenda packet was an email that described what they want to discuss, and I'll leave it up to you. That's pretty much the agenda item. Well, if you want to discuss the merits of the litigation, I'd suggest we go into executive session. Whether you do that before or after you hear from the property owners, that's up to you.
I'll make the motion that we go into executive session for the review of this item.
I'll second that.
I would like to hear from them publicly and then go into executive session to discuss it.
Either way, it's fine.
To
think
vote according
what-
to specifically that
Well,
we
I
do
think
for
the
them
vote
first.
was to go into executive session, but I think what they're saying is they'd like to hear from Cleavers before you go into executive
We
session.
need to hear from them and then vote? or-
It's up to you guys.
I'd like to hear from them, but do we need to go ahead and vote for the executive session?
Well, no,
Or
because
hear
you'll be
from
out
them
of
first.
session here if you do, so I'd go ahead and hear from them before
Okay.
you vote.
We'd love to hear from you.
That was not my motion.
Thank you for your time and consideration. My name's Wade Cleaver. We live at 47, my wife and I, Sonia, live at and own the property at 4703 North Peniel Avenue. We've owned that for almost 11 years to the day. And we bought the property then to move into Bethany to take advantage of the great Bethany School District. We've been advised to do that, and we were very glad that we did that. Our youngest son is 22 now, so and we'd like to do what a lot of people do when they reach this stage in life, and that's to downsize, sell our house, sell our property, and downsize and move to a smaller, more affordable place. So basically, in doing so, that's where the situation arose with the easements, with the alleyway and everything. So the situation there, we did not create that situation. That was created many years ago. We inherited it when we purchased the property. And now we are trying to resolve the situation as best we can. Our goal has never been to cause anybody any problems or insult or injury at all. Our goal is just to be able to sell the property so that we would be able to move out of the property. And that's basically, that's what this is all about. So.
Could you kind of describe the scenario that you described in your email of what you're
happy to.
contemplating? I think they'd like to hear that as well.
Plenty good. Saul Reed for Wade and Sonia. I've got the mortgage inspection report, and I've brought with me 10 copies. Can I approach the council and hand them out?
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
Right, do.
Kind of felt like I was a card dealer at a casino or something there. It just wasn't very fast. In the interest of time, and I assume your council has advised you of our comings and goings, the email I'll direct you to is dated on or about October 27th. The basic nuts and bolts of the problem that I'm trying to solve for my client is Wade and Sonia, as you heard, have a desire to go under contract and sell the house and make other living arrangements, a little bit of a smaller place. And I apologize for the smallness of the print, but their attempts to go under contract and sell the house to another family was frustrated this summer by the surveyor that came out, and I'm going to hold up my exhibit. You could see more or less right around the perimeter of the property. There's various notations from the surveyor that talk about concrete encroachments. I believe there's also an awning encroachment. Again, very small print. I apologize for that. But the basic ask here that we're making, as expressed, as Mr. Davis mentioned, was from my October 27th email to him, was just that this body would grant a variance for those various concrete encroachments. The detail here, we don't know if this is a foot into the alleyway or 6 inches or 2 feet, but we would just ask that if it would be some amount extending into the alleyway, that this council would grant a variance and allow for that.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt
Go,
you.
plenty do.
Not to be argumentative at all or anything like that, but this was surveyed, and you don't know if it's 6 inches or 2 feet.
The surveyor doesn't give me a notation on here.
Okay.
This particular, and I use the word survey loosely. This product is about $150. When folks in real estate talk about surveyors, sometimes they mean this $150 product or $140. A true survey, or sometimes an ALTA survey, is $700-800, and that's where they actually set pins. Sometimes you hear surveyors talk about setting pins, and that's a $700, $800, $900 deal, and that'll tell you with precision, councilman, like within a foot or 6 inches or 2.5 feet, or they'll give you exact precision. There was enough there that I thought that it would, and it did. The Clywers came to my office after they had their contract turned down by a title agency. So that's really why they came here, why I'm in front of y'all. And the other item I would direct your attention to on my email would be number 2. Sometimes councils need to grant lot split approval. My understanding from visiting with your council is that that would not need, whenever you split up lots like what we're doing here, so that instead of selling one big thing, we're asking for approval on a lot split to sell 2 things. Namely, lot 1 and 2 will have a deed that'll be sold to somebody else, and then lots 4 and 5 would be on a separate deed and go off to somebody else, or possibly even the same folk. But it would be 2 separate deeds, in my understanding from visiting with Mr. Davis, is we would not need lot split approval for that. Then the other final footnote there is item number 4. I believe there would need to be some separate water metering, since, as Wade mentioned, this house had been in its current configuration since, I think, the 50s and 60s, and I think a lot of folks may have memories of swimming in that pool that's over there. But the property would need to be separately metered for utilities and things of that nature, so that we would have sort of two separate properties that would be sold, as opposed to one thing that kind of sprawled out over a couple different lots. And that's really the sum and substance of it. I'll shut up and take any questions or get Wade back up here, however you.
So what you currently refer to as the pool house would go with the pool, or the pool would go with the pool house?
Councilwoman, that's exactly correct, and that's shown, again, it's a very small print, but it's there on between lots 4 and 5. That would kind of be one unit that would travel together. That's what I refer to as the pool house. And the big house from my email you see is that lots 1 and 2.
So basically, the pool house is approximately the size of the pool, but you would sell that as residential property? No? They're pretty
I don't want
close.
to speak out of turn. Wade, tell them how big is that
Pool house is approximately
How many square feet?
35 by 48. So it's, I don't know how many square feet that
Not a
is.
very big house.
I thought the realtor that had been engaged told us that it was, do you recall, 1,200? Is that, do you remember what she told us?
Living area is somewhere, is about
1,400 square
1,100.
feet.
With the garage and everything, it's the entire square footage is about 1,500 square foot.
With the garage and stuff.
With the garage, yes. One-car garage.
And that's probably the average size of those houses in that area.
And my other question, and perhaps I'm not remembering correctly, but did you not sue us originally, and that's how we found out about this issue? I mean, perhaps someone else can clarify.
I can address that. I've lived in Bethany a long time. I've known about this since the early 60s, and that's how long it's been there. But this issue came up, and the Cleavers were trying to close the sale of their house. They weren't able to. They filed what I call a special proceeding in district court to vacate that alley, and the city was served with that notice. And when they were, I brought that to you, and you authorized me to defend it. That's basically how it happened.
So there's no plan to vacate the alley?
I beg your pardon?
Is there, I mean, the way it's set up now, this pool and pool house encroaches on the city right-of-way, which is the alley.
No, actually, they don't. What the encroachment, I don't have those pictures with me, but if you recall, on 46th Street, I believe it's 46, there's a wall
We have an ordinance.
that connects two houses across the alley.
20 feet.
So that blocks the alley on the north end. And then on the south end, which would be south of,
Variance on that.
that doesn't really show it either. But at any rate, there's another wall that's built that kind of encloses the pool, so to speak. Those are the main encroachments, and the balance of it is just concrete on the ground. That's the gist of the encroachment. The building does not encroach.
Well, and I'll address this to the attorney. If we wanted to get access to the alley for bike trail or something like that, would that be available? Is that an option?
Yes, to your point, Councilman, the ask now is not to vacate the alley, because I understand there's a initiative associated with walking or things of that nature through the alleyway. So the ask at this time is not really for us to vacate the alley. In fact, I would just dismiss the case. So there's nothing. We're not asking to vacate the alley. We're just asking for the variances to allow us to go under contract, so another title company
Councilman
wouldn't have
Palmer,
a.
I could possibly address that. Mr. Reed and I have discussed this, and the idea, and that email doesn't elaborate on it, but the idea is that if this idea has merit to the city council, the alley would be reopened for access from 42nd Street to 50th Street. And some obstructions that are in the way of the alley would have to be removed. And then there's probably some work the city would have to do with underbrush and some small trees and things that have to be taken out. But it is possible to reopen the alley. It's not obstructed by buildings. Whether you would want to have that alley open for vehicular access all the way through there, that's a different issue. You remember the last time I had some pictures that I showed you, and part of that alley, you could see evidence that people drive on it. Actually, other than this particular location here, that alley is currently open all the way from 42nd Street to 50th with this gap right here.
Well, and I think it's being maintained by the city. It's mowed and,
I'm not, it looks like it. I think most of the people have their backyards fenced in up to the alley, and I think some people drive around there to haul their lawnmower or whatever, but there's evidence of tire tracks back there in some places, and I think people ride bicycles, but when they get to this area, they have to go back out on the street and go around. But I have a friend who lives just south of the Cleavers, and she tells me that a lot of people walk their dogs in that alley, and then I'm sure some of those people store junk in their backyard on the alley too, but
So I have
some
a-
of the pictures indicate that.
I had a motion to go into executive session after hearing from.
Yeah, I just,
from the-
one more question, I guess I'm just confused. If this was a test, I'd say not enough information.
Right.
In my world, there's warranties and there's representations. And without having a measurement, how would we, I mean, a representation's nice, saying, hey, it's kinda it's kinda out there, but we don't have a warranty of, is it 6 inch? I mean, 6 inches or 2 feet does make a big difference.
Well, I think the whole point of tonight is, do you want to proceed along this line? And if you do, then those details will be brought back to you. The only thing you're talking about, whether it's 6 inches or 2 feet, is concrete that's laying out on the alley, like a pavement, there's not actually a building out there that we're talking about.
Was this like this when y'all bought it, or did y'all add it?
No, it was there, it's been there, I don't know how long. It was there when we bought it, though.
Were
It's
you not
basically
notified?
concrete decking that's near the pool area.
Did you have a mortgage on the property when you bought it?
Yes.
Were you, I mean, was that not, I'm just curious, was there no title insurance? Was there no, I mean, a lawyer's opinion? Was there nothing like that?
The title insurance had a page on there where it said that they would insure everything except for the easement for the alleyway there. The house has sold 4 to 5 times in the last 40 years, and it had never been, never stopped the sale until this point. So.
And I could add to the title issue. I didn't bring the abstract title with me, but I want to say that the configuration that you see here with the separation of the lots happened in, I believe in 1953 or thereabouts. And Wade had told me that as far as the concrete in the pool and such, that he had had a conversation with somebody or other that could recall it being in its current configuration as far back as the 70s. With the concrete. So there hasn't been anything added, or like Wade said in his introductory comment, there's nothing that he created or added to this. I'm going to speculate here that because lending laws change all the time, to be honest with you, I don't know if they required surveys of this nature back in 06 or 86 or so on and so forth back through time that gave this level of specificity, but lending rules constantly and changing, and so as a result, this survey or this mortgage inspection report was done, which brought all this level of detail and
I just
brought us here
remember,
today.
I bought a piece of property not long ago, and there was an instrument, I thought that was made for this, that you could, the bank would accept that you could file for just this purpose. But maybe it's just a different deal, but
Is there space between these buildings for a vehicle to pass? A fire truck, a police car, a public
There's
works
the width of
vehicle?
the alley available.
So it's wide enough?
I believe it's 25 feet, isn't it, Steve? 20 feet wide,
Okay.
not for two vehicles to pass.
Well, I wouldn't expect that in an alley.
And there are fences all along that alley, along the backyards, all the way from 42nd to 50th Street.
And also, we're not trying to not help you either. We're trying to help you. I just want to make sure we understand everything.
Yes, sir.
You know, and I assume there's no neighbors that have had any complaints or anything like that of, if we did change it.
Not in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Well, I think in all of Ward 2 in the Bethany District neighborhood, we have inherited a lot of issues that we've now been trying to work to resolve. So this may be yet another one of those, and I'm sorry that you happened to be the one that it fell on.
Thank you.
I can do that. Let's discuss that in executive session.
Yes. So we have a motion to go in executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Mr. Caton, would you join us, please?
Thank you for your
in
time.
Executive session.
Stick around.
Do I have a second to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Please cast your votes. And do I have a motion to have our city attorney negotiate a settlement similar to what was proposed in the email?
No.
Need a motion for that.
Can I refine the motion a little bit, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor? I would make a motion that the parties, that we, as the city council, allow the city attorney to litigate and/or begin settlement negotiations, in this case related to the alleyway in Ward 2.
I second the motion.
Please cast your votes. Item 10 is a call to the public. If we have anybody that would like to address the council, please step to the microphone, state your name and address. Item 11 is the city attorney's report. Item 12 is the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few things this evening. I always like to start with the not-so-good news and then move on to positive news. We are in receipt, unfortunately, of some news from the Oklahoma Tax Commission. Apparently, there had been an overpayment of sales tax that was originated. We can now release the name of the store as the OTC, the Oklahoma Tax Commission, has released it. The department store of Walmart has been erroneously paying the city sales tax for the last several months. It accumulated to a total of $272,000. We have set that aside in a separate fund because we were concerned about if that was correct or not. So we have set that money aside. The state is being nice. However, they are going to bill that out in 12-month increments. So over a period of 12 months, we'll be paying back about $23,000 a month to refund that. So we do have that money set aside for that, but I was going to point out, though, that also that means that we're going to relook at our numbers and do a reprojection for you on how we actually did come out the last 6 months and where we're projecting going as well. But unfortunately, it looks like it is down a few percentage points rather than up a few percentage points. On a different matter, the mayor and I were set to provide testimony at the legislature this last week regarding electricity. That was canceled again, and so that may be off for the duration now at this point. The legislature has other items that are on their docket. I would like to thank our public works staff for a great job on another successful big trash pickup week that completed this past week. We also we have a lot of things that are on our docket ourselves, especially regarding economic development and related matters. We have IBTS. They're going to be here doing a public kickoff, an open house. That'll be on November the 28th from 3 o'clock until 7 p.m. and the entirety of the public is invited, and of course everybody in this room as well. It's a stop by and see what they're doing, what they're working on. Primarily stems from our comprehensive plan and the rewrite of our city code, specifically as relates to form-based code. In other words, being able to do particularly mixed-use type of zoning in certain areas that the community expressed during the comprehensive planning that it would like to see the possibility of being able to do. Also, the Waterside Development Tax Increment Finance Project is off and going. On November the 16th, it was approved by the TIF committee, which is a group of folks. I know the number of people here participated or attended that meeting, but it was approved by the multi-jurisdictional TIF committee. The next step of which our city council member John Herron chaired. Next step for it are three steps. Next is December the 7th. It will go before planning and zoning. Following that, I understand that we do have a sufficient number of folks who are going to be able to be present, so we can have a special call meeting of the city council. The folks that are doing the TIF project, Mr. Steve Allen, that will be an opportunity for them to do their first presentation to the public. So that's will be public hearing number 1. Again, that's December the 12th, special call meeting set for 7 p.m. And then that will be followed 1 week later by a regular city council meeting, at which time we'll have a public hearing and invite public comment on that TIF project. At that same meeting then, we will also have prepared an ordinance for council's consideration if you would like to move forward with that project. So a lot going on with with the Waterside project. Very exciting. On Let's Get Connected, our sidewalk project, of course, we talked a little bit earlier tonight about the next city council meeting being January the 16th to hear that. We've got a couple of meetings that we're scheduling to do in relation to that. One is for an educational meeting that we anticipate having being a joint meeting of city council, planning and zoning, and a number of other boards, hopefully in early January, and then followed up by that with a public meeting to begin discussing the prioritization of our sidewalks and pathways. So a lot of really good stuff on the docket for that. The next item is code enforcement, update on that. As of this week, we now have issued 1,136 NOVs, 265 of which were in Ward 1, 380 in Ward 2, 251 in Ward 3, and 240 in Ward 4. We have remaining 61 open NOVs, and 1,075 have been closed. So we only have 7 at this point that are non-compliant or headed toward abatement. I believe that's it, and I'd just like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13, council members' announcements, comments, and proposals. Tonight, let's start down here with Council Member Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am encouraged that we have made some progress on a vision plan overlay in Ward 2. I'm encouraged by the progress that we're making and the participation that we're getting from the community as well as the city staff and the city council. I think that this is a great example of what we can do in our neighborhoods, and it's been done in Norman, and I think we can use that as an example to implement what we need in our city, and in particular Ward 2. It's a template that I think we could apply to other neighborhoods that we can use for 23rd Street. We can use for we've got some interesting issues related to business and neighborhood revitalization, and I'm encouraged by that, and I think we're making good progress. And I would also like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Be grateful and thankful for, for me, it's the Lord I serve and my family and friends. So with that, I yield my time back to the mayor.
Thank you. Dr. Harris?
I want to thank everyone for the great turnout at the downtown tree lighting. I love the decorations. We're getting lots of attention and lots of comments about them. So thank you to all of Public Works and everyone who made that happen, and to the many people that showed up. It was really a good turnout. I am just addicted to watching the construction of the library. I have it blown up so I can see what every person is doing, and they are just constantly supervised on my webcam. And I want to thank everybody for all their support during the year and wish them a blessed Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and I think tonight was a very productive night with our meetings we had and the communication. We're going to have one single voice. No, the surprises, I think, will be less once something will be run past you as it comes out from the city to the public. And as you said in your video, I said before you, I beat you to it, that Bethany's best days are definitely ahead. And to touch on Steve's point, if somebody is feeling down and they don't think they have anything to be thankful for, and I used to go and do a lot of work out at the Toby Keith Children's Center. If you don't think you have anything to be thankful for, go to the children's ward at OU Hospital. It's a children's cancer ward, and it'll make you realize what you've got. So happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Councilmember McCutcheon?
I would like to again thank Public Works. I know they're watching. They've told me that they watch the council meetings, and I want them to know how much I appreciate them and what an awesome job they did this last week. And second, my daughter is a cheerleader at Bethany, and you forgot to mention, Mr. Palmer, Councilman Palmer.
Thank you for bringing this up. I'm going to enjoy every second of this. Go right ahead.
Exactly. Bethany is going to the semifinals this Saturday, and I'm looking forward to watching that game. It will overlap with the Sooners, but that's okay. My daughter comes first. So, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Shirey?
Can you reiterate where the game will be played and at what time?
The Bethany versus Ada game will be played in Noble, at Noble High School at 1 o'clock. Saturday.
Thank you.
I'll give you a ride.
I would like to also voice my thanks to the Bethany.
Is that on?
I'm going. You all hearing me? Bethany Sanitation Department in their big trash pickup. And it's over, and if you have anything left out on this curb, it's going to be charged to you. So don't call City Hall and say, you didn't pick me up, because they have picked up all of Bethany. And I see a lot of things that are sitting out alongside the street. And I think we should get our people and get those streets cleaned up, because they depict what our city is all about. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and please travel safe. Also, let's think about the men and women without their families, or servicemen and women without their families at this time. I know it's very difficult because the majority of them are young, and it's probably the first time they have been away from their families. And I think that we should think about them wholeheartedly. And what type of progress have we made on 2200 North Flamingo?
We have made time. 22, what was the address? 2201?
2200.
2200 North Flamingo. This is the former nursing home. We've made contact again with the owners. They told our code enforcement that they had development ideas and they were supposed to be in contact with us. And this was last week. I haven't heard from them yet.
I think we should pressure that up.
How many years have you worked on that, have you been asking about that, Mr. Shirey?
Well, I think since around my 79th birthday.
Well, I think it's time, I think it's time that talking is over. It's, especially what's going on at 39th. We need to get the lawyers involved and do something.
I think so too.
You know, we received an order to condemn that building from the district court. The owner voluntarily tore it down rather than us having to try to recover the funds. And when the permit for demolition was issued, there was no requirement that the slab be removed. So that's why it looks like it does now.
Well, I believe the district court said it was to be removed.
No, it did not. It just said the building was to be removed.
It's on us now.
And the permit was issued here at City Hall.
I understand that, but all buildings have to have a floor.
I
And
would
the
say
floor is not removed from that building.
Yeah, I think to require those people to do that, of course, would require news lawsuits, is what I'm making. I don't think we could reopen that lawsuit to tell those people to remove the slab.
When the city of Oklahoma City does it, I've seen it several times with insurance claims and things like that. Have a fire, the insurance doesn't pay, they leave town. The concrete, if it's not in the permit, it should have been put in the permit. It wasn't for whatever reason. That's our concrete, or whoever's concrete. I mean,
There's a house at 30th and College that burned, and the slab's still there as well.
Yes, and I was 28 years old when that burned down.
No, you weren't. It burned down. I might have been.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to echo what Arleta said about Friday night and the Downtown Merchants Association. I had a great time. My daughter came in from Tulsa. We were downtown the whole time, and I got to lead the group, started to lead the group in a countdown to light the lights, and you couldn't, the way the speakers were, the kids that were actually flipping the switch could not hear me. So somebody said, flip the switch as we were about to start counting. And they went on, which was great anyway. It was great to see those lights go on all down the median. I've driven by it. Whenever I have the opportunity to drive at night down 39th, I go all the way. I have to see all those lights. I also want to thank the students from Putnam City West for being here tonight, the Youth in Government Organization. Thanks for sticking it out and observing the whole thing. And would you all join me in just thanking them with some applause? Lastly, I'd like to echo what Mr. Shirey said about Thanksgiving, and if you have to travel, if you're going to travel, just be real cautious out there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I would like to also wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and let everybody know that this past Friday I had the pleasure of meeting with the mayor of Knoxville on a trip to Knoxville, Tennessee, because my wife cannot go a football season without going to a Vols home football game since she went to school there. So that was that was fun. Got to talk to her about a lot of things like TIF districts and revitalization and government. And I will say that her sixth floor office corner window view over Calhoun's on the river there is quite a bit nicer than my office right over here. I'd kind of like somebody to get on like a little update thing or something over there, maybe build a river out here for me to look at. Just kidding. I also like to say that I'll be really glad when No Shave November is over with. This is driving me crazy. It itches. And I would also like to warn all of the library construction men that Dr. Harris is stalking them, obviously. So, thank you. Item 14 is new business. Do we have any new business tonight? With no new business, I declare us adjourned until December 5th, 2017. I call to order the Bethany Public Works Authority. Item 1 is consent docket A through C. Do I have a motion or discussion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, and I have a question. It seems to me that our sewer treatment bill from Bethany War Acres is steadily going up at about $10,000 a pay period. And I would just like that explored and an explanation.
John Robinson. I live on Eagle Lane. In answer to your question, Councilman Harris, the actual billing that we remit to the Bethany War Acres Public Works Authority is calculated right here in-house, and it's based on our water sales. So the amount of effluent that we anticipate we're sending down the pipe goes through the formula, and it's a set formula. And Casey Russell, our auditor, has reviewed it recently and approved it. So it is, Berkeley Penner is calculating it properly, and it is what it is. We're selling more, and we have to pay more to have it processed, so.
Thank you. So I have a motion and I have a second. Please cast your votes. Item 2, new business. Do I have any new business? With no new business, I declare us adjourned until December 5th, 2017. I call to order the Bethany Hospital Trust. Item 1 is consent docket A through C. Do I have a motion or discussion?
I have a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 2, new business. Do I have any new business? With no new business, I declare us adjourned until December 5th, 2017. I call to order the Bethany Development Authority. Item 1 is a consent docket A through C. Do I have a motion or discussion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 2 is approval of resolution number 1487, granting a public utility easement to the city of Bethany near Overholser Drive and Old Route 66 Highway, abutting the proposed waterside development area. Do I have?
That item looks kind of unusual. Let me give you the 30-second explanation. The Bethany Development Authority still owns part of the land that's known as waterside, kind of the periphery of it along the west side. And Oklahoma City's putting a large water line going north through there. Was it 48 inch? Is that right, Steve? 36 inch. And they requested an easement, which you granted last time for the water line across there. And in exchange for that, they put 2 fire hydrants on that no cost to us, which will provide more than adequate fire protection for that new development. And this is a companion easement to that, which they wanted to be granted in their name, but rather than that, I have made it a public easement in the name of Bethany, so that if they put something in there and we have to move it to do something, the cost is on them, not on us. So that's the reason. It looks kind of funny that you're granting an easement to yourself, I guess is the point I'm making, but that's the rationale.
Do you have any questions or motion?
I move that we approve resolution number 1487 as presented.
Second.
Please cast your votes. Item 3 is new business. Do we have any new business? With no new business, I declare us adjourned until December 5th, 2017. With that, happy Thanksgiving and have a good evening.